What we are trying to do, and I'll read them in part, we amend this section to enable a person appointed to the office of Inspector General of Police to remain in office until the end of the term stipulated in the letter of appointment. Is there any clause anywhere that subjects the stay in office by the IGP to good conduct, to performance? Because, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, until people given appointments perform satisfactorily, when we simply give them the opportunity to serve as far as the tenure in the letter indicates, I think that will be abused because somebody will feel he will not be removed regardless. And I think if there is no proviso, I have my worries here. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, state, I can imagine the work of a chief executive of a nation, irrespective of the tenure of the appointment, whether it's 3 years, even in local government, or 4 years as commissioner, where you are ineffective in your work. There are other provisos, there are other provisions, even in the Constitution, that gives the president or the chief executive the power to either suspend or remove such a person. It doesn't mean that a person must exhaust his tenure. I think it's subject to performance. I think it's subject to effectiveness. If you have a very ineffective police chief and you give him an appointment for 2 years, even if in 6 months he does not do well, you have overriding public interest. You must let such a person go. And if the act says he should save his tenure, then you suspend the person because you still have the overriding power of suspension because of ineffectiveness. So I have noted your observations. Yes, distinguished Senator Dixon.
Dixon, Bayelsa West. Mr. President, first, I would like to observe that it's rather unfortunate that in this country we've not been able to formulate set and steady rules aimed at strengthening the police as a service and protecting the office of the Inspector General of Police. It is not for nothing, Mr. President and my dear colleagues, that whereas the Constitution of the Federal Republic says that a president, any president of this country, is commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the Constitution does not say so of the police. The police is a different service altogether, a service that is intended to work for the people, for the due enforcement of the laws and for maintenance of peace and order. The worry I have is that the amendment sought, no matter the intention, is seeking to make an appointment to last as long as the appointment letter lasts. So, if somebody has appointed a person as Inspector General for 5 years or for 10 years, what this Senate is being invited to endorse is that by this amendment, if passed, the person must stay in office for 10 years. I know, Mr. President, Senate President, you have observed rightly too, that within this period, nothing stops the president from firing. But that leads us back to where we are coming from, which, as someone who started life in the police, we are very sad about. This Senate should rather think of a holistic review of the Police Act, aimed at strengthening, creating the institution, and insulating it from political pressures. We should elevate the office of the Inspector General to a level of justices of the Supreme Court, for example, or of those independent national electoral officers, for example, where the approval or two-thirds majority of the National Assembly or of this Senate should be sought. So this is a new dimension. I know that the Senate leader has said that the amendment is aimed at strengthening the office. But I think that this amendment, we should look at it carefully, particularly as it relates to somebody staying in office for as long as the office. An appointment that is created by the Constitution, the tenure and the way and manner the person should be removed should be in accordance with the Constitution and the prevailing laws, and not a letter of appointment. So I believe that in as much as this motion, this bill is well intended, the police needs a comprehensive review, needs institutional strengthening, which we fully support, that maybe, as a result of these issues I've raised and many more others, maybe we can stand down this bill for further consultation, and even consultation with the police authorities themselves and other relevant stakeholders, so that by solving a problem, we don't create other sets of problems. Thank you.
Yes.
Very distinguished colleagues, I listened to Mr. Senate President Emeritus, His Excellency Senator Ahmad Lawa. Very valid observation. I've also, like the rest of us, just listened to most distinguished Senator Seriaki Dixon. And I also give it to him that having run a successful political career as a member of the House of Representatives, as a senator, and a former governor, I cannot also run away from the fact that he started his career as a policeman and a police officer in this country. However, Mr. President, it's important that I made this clarification so that we don't center our debate around misconception. The Police Act 2020, in section 7, sub 6, has already defined, also as done by the Constitution of our country, has already defined the tenure of office of the Inspector General of Police. It says it is 4 years. And usually, when an Inspector General of Police is appointed, that is also stated in the letter. And if you look at what this bill is seeking to do, this bill is only seeking, to achieve that purpose, that you are appointed for a specific tenure, and you should be able to, spend that tenure in office, except where the appointing authority decides otherwise. Mr. President, from the chair, you gave instances. And the Police Act is also very clear as to the procedure for the removal of Inspector General of Police, where for any reason he's also living under expectation. And this bill, sir, is also with reference to section 7.6. Let's look at the bill again. The bill, section 18, the amendment of section 18. Section 18 of the Principal Act is amended by inserting a new subsection 8A, which reads, notwithstanding the provisions of subsection 8 of this section, any person appointed to the office of Inspector General of Police shall remain in office until the end of the term stipulated in the letter of appointment, in line with the provisions of section 7.6 of this act. Section 7.6. And what does Section 7.6 says? That an Inspector General of Police shall spend 4 years in office. So it's already defined. And this bill is not seeking to do anything otherwise. If anything, as Senator Seriaki Dixon would want to see happen in our country, this bill is only seeking to guarantee the tenure of office of the Inspector General of Police without prejudice to the various provisions in the Police Act as to the procedure for removal of the Inspector General of Police where he is found wanting. Thank you, sir.
I think to the Senate leader, the Section 7.6 has already specified that an Inspector General of Police will only be appointed for 4 years. But of recent, they've had a lot of schisms between the Police Service Commission and the Office of Inspector General of Police. Then the Act itself also specifies that even though the Inspector General of Police may be appointed for 4 years, where he is found wanting, the Act also provides the methodology of how he should be removed from office. So the Act does not intend that an Inspector General of Police should stay in office beyond 4 years. But you have had issues in the past where service chiefs stayed above 7 years. Service chiefs stayed above 6 years. And they were fighting Boko Haram. And the Boko Haram never finished. And their tenure never finished. I don't know whether you understand my point. So this one is not seeking to extend the tenure of the police IGP by 1 day. But also the provision in the Act also specifies how the IGP, who is ineffective, can be removed. So what you are saying is part of what is already being done, strengthening the office to avoid a fight between the Police Service Commission and IG, and then at the end. So if the IG knows that he has 4 years and where he's effective, and where the appointer, the appointing authority, finds him, effective, then he has no fear with what the Police Service Commission is seeking to do. So it strengthens it, and it does not derogate from it. The DSP.
Mr. President, I don't think there's any ambiguity in the intendment of this bill. It's simply okay. I said there's no ambiguity in the intendment of this bill. As is clearly stated in item 2, amendment of section 18, is saying that let's go in line with the stipulation of the legislation that specifies the duration of the term of office of the Inspector General of Police. It's not asking that we should add 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. No. It's saying, look, let's stay by that, and whoever is nominated or appointed should spend 4 years. This is very clear. I don't think there's any problem in this bill. So please, let's just move on and get it passed so that we go to the next item.
You'll be now read a second time. Say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Yes. Clerk of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Police Act 2019 and to enact the Police Act 2024. Second reading taken. The bill is committed to the Committee of the Whole for further consideration. Leader of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the Nigeria Police Amendment Bill 2024 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 2 as recommended. Interpretation clause nil. Short title clause 3 as recommended. Schedules nil. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Police Act 2019 and for related matters therewith 2024, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Police Act. Just a minute. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Police Act 2019 and for related matters therewith 2024. Third reading taken and passed. Leader of the Senate.
We'd like to first move that the presentation and consideration of the reports contained in both the third and fourth orders of the day be taken together. I so move.
Minority has been moved that the third and fourth orders of the day be taken together. Those in support of the motion as moved and seconded say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes. Leader of the Senate.
The third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Trade and Investment on the screening of Dr. Olatunji Bello for appointment as the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Vice Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Mr. President, the fourth order of the day as well is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Trade and Investment on the screening of Jobson Ewalifo for appointment as Director General Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Sulaiman Umar Sadiq, the chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of both reports.